Thanks, Aditya and Aditi, for the opportunity. I might not know all the team member, but I'm Alok Jain. I'm founder and CEO of Moonshot Jr. And a little bit of my background: I'm a serial entrepreneur. I built companies before in software consulting. I built a company in real estate. I have another company in AI/ML called EasyDia, and I think so. This I started something at last year in November, and uh, this is really close to my heart. I always wanted to do something in education, and then on my journey, I mean, I've made several $100,000. I sold on Amazon and eBay. I have rented several properties on Airbnb. I have rented even my cars. What I'm trying to tell you that once you get like a bug of entrepreneurship, right, you will able to find opportunity everywhere. I mean, that is what I have been doing, and I think child education was, or the education of K-12 was always very close to my heart, and there was not really a compelling reason. But now I got two kids. My daughter is 14 and my son is 9, and I felt like this was the right time to do it. So can you guys see my full screen, or I see some screen at my end, but I just want to make sure there is no distraction.
Yep, we can see.
So first 6 or 7 years of my experience was in semiconductor, and again, I come from lower middle class family in India, and I graduated from IIT. There was only two aim in life at that time. The first one was, can I get a stable job, and can I get a job which pays the most, right? And I ended up in semiconductor. I worked for Micron, Texas Instruments, and my life for first 6 or 7 years was really miserable. uh, Again, I never cared about passion, and at that time the priorities was different, and I felt like that is something which was a bad move for my career. And then when I came to this country, I got stuck in H1 visa and other things. And then as soon as I got things sorted out, I jumped in the entrepreneurial world. I went to the online marketing and e-com, and I work in at that time in Walmart and eBay. And transitioning when already you are an established in one industry to other becomes more difficult. And then I opened several companies, and right now we are at Moonshot Jr. So really, the whole premise of opening Moonshot Jr. is really, can we save some kids where uh, we can identify passion and their interest early, right, as part of the education. So I'll tell you what we are doing here, and then I'll walk you through what I'm going to talk today. So really, I think I'm sure you guys are aware some of the changes happening, especially the future of work is changing significantly. PwC came out with a several scenario. One innovative scenario, what they are telling that there will be less than 10% full-time job in 10 years, right? Very alarming numbers. Uh, and they are not really saying that everybody will come out after 10 years, start opening companies and hiring employees. What they are saying, that notion of full-time job is going to get dissipated and will start disappearing. What does it mean? Like prevalence of freelancing and gig economy, all that will become. And it just becomes very important in this new world to establish yourself as an authority, as a brand. Because even if you want to get a full-time job, which is going to become minuscule, until unless you have that entrepreneurial mindset, it will become to even hold a good job, right? All the automation is coming, and I think if I see the Gen Z or millennial, I think until unless we really rejigger the way we think about the job and all that, it will become a tough time. But I think we have time, especially you guys are in high school. I think you have several years to just prep yourself. So two things are happening. One thing is uh, the jobs are disappearing, the full time jobs. At same time, if you see the last 30 years of data, young people starting businesses has gone down by over 70%, right? So these two charts are going in completely opposite direction, and that is a huge problem. All the kids drop off of schools, and if you see, over 50-60% of the student, they change their minor or major in the first year of college, right? So really, I mean, if you look at the current education outcome, we may not be preparing our young minds for the future of work, right? The reason behind is like really a lot of kids do not even realize their passion till they are in college or even later, right? We really do not foster the entrepreneurial mindset. When you put a GPA mindset, it just changes the personality. You are really running behind a number, which might be meaningless beyond a point. And really, we believe strongly that the kids should be encouraged towards innovation and technology, right, irrespective of the field they choose. And as I said, like really establishing personal brand and entrepreneurial mindset is very important. Again, you might have seen these kind of slides many times. When you say entrepreneurial mindset, as I said, like whether you want to build your own or you want to do a job, until unless you have this kind of mindset, it will become very difficult to hold a senior level job. Some junior job will be still available, but if you want to become a director or VP, until unless you have these skills, it is going to be challenging time in future. So it's a it's the right thing to do to really understand where you are in your life journey and how you can get there, right? Especially when we look at the building your brand is important. Uh, and why it is important, again, I mean, there are a lot of tools from the social media, from TikToks, all the tools, LinkedIn, Facebook. I mean, one thing is really the social presence, but the success rate of that is very, very little, right? I mean, if you look at these numbers, even when you say NBA player versus an engineer, even one of the top notch NBA players versus engineer, for over the lifespan, they might make about the same money, right? So when you have a chance of succeeding as an NBA player, very, very tiny versus an engineer, maybe a long route, you really need to think how you build your personal brand, because it's not like that you become an NBA player and your life is set, because the chance of succeeding there might be minuscule. So it's not like until unless you do one of those outrageous things where the chance of success is very little, you might not able to build your brand. I think any and every field you can build your brand. It really helps you building the credibility. It help you generating the new customers. It will help you in advertising, know yourself known, and there are many ways to do it, right? When we look at from education perspective, there was a old saying like really jack of all trade and master of none might not be the best thing. I think the upcoming future, you need to be master of something, but at the same time you also need to be a jack of all trade. Until unless you embrace them, I think the surviving in the future is going to be more and more difficult. The way we teach thing, when we think holistic learning, especially in our company Moonshot, irrespective of whether it is Moonshot or anywhere else, I think identifying your interest, where your passion lies, really doing a deeper dive there. But at the same time, all the holistic education we really call the new life skills. In the past, let's say new life skill was, can you fix your car if it is broken? But I think in the today's world, no matter what your interest lies, things like video creation, can you create video, can you be known, do you understand basic finance, do you understand online marketing? I mean, they become the new life skills. So this is very important. And then really the hands-on learning, learning through games, learning through hardware kits. This is the approach we have taken. And really the entrepreneurship training from the very early time, right? Learn from industry leaders. That's very important. Really try to talk to as many people as you can, how they build their path, because sometimes you might find it not relevant, but when you keep listening, you will start identifying the pattern that some of these successful people, how they get there, right? And then you might not curse yourself beyond a point. I think I have a miserable life, to be honest. For 7 years when I was in semiconductor, I cursed myself every day that, am I productive enough? Am I doing the right thing for my job and my life? And every day I was not able to answer myself. I really need to get out of my comfort zone and do something outrageous. And it was not easy. First 3 or 4 years of when I came out, it was quite a bit of challenge. But then I able to figure out, and everything helped. Now I can look back and I can connect all the dots. So at that time, it was difficult for me to connect the dots. But as I said, like really learn from other people stories, you will able to see a lot of same pattern. Most of these self-made entrepreneurs, they have a very tough path, right? Whatever you going through, and you might say like, okay, right now I really don't know how I will get beyond this point. And the mindset, even, I mean, I was depressed for years, and today I feel very energetic. For last few years, I really got back my life because I'm doing what I wanted to do. But it's not easy, and it's not like something will happen overnight. It might take for somebody 5 years, 10 years, even longer. But if you keep working, you will get there, right? I mean, that is very important, and especially the entrepreneurial life. or building your personal brand, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time. But some of the tools we are doing through Moonshot Junior. But as at same time, as I said, like many of these tools are available externally, and you guys can catch on something. And I'll give you some examples. So really learn from industry leaders and learn some of these things, like whether it is e-commerce or app. You can go to Amazon, eBay. Really put something out there, right? These things are not that difficult. At surface, they might look difficult. Sourcing some item from, let's say, Alibaba or China, and really pushing it to Amazon with a package where you can put some value add, is not that difficult, but it will teach you a great deal of things. What to source, how to identify gap, how to create that package, how to create your first listing, and selling your first 10, 20, 50 boxes. Same thing is applied for, let's say, mobile apps or game apps, right? Identifying that first 50, 100 customers, how to do that. Right now, you guys at certain age where the cost of entrepreneurship or cost of failure is not that difficult or that much. You can always come back and really restart. When you become an adult, when you have kids and house and all that, it just becomes too difficult to do it, right? A lot of my friends, I'll say 90% of my friends, they want to do something, but it just becomes so difficult to take that courage and take next step. Right now, the cost of failure is very little for you guys. So really take that plunge. It's important. Until unless you take it, it just becomes very difficult to really figure out what is going to work. So at Moonshot Junior, and again, I'm just taking the name because this is what we are teaching, but I think this is same philosophy. If you follow, I think this is a recipe of rinsing and repeating. So the first stage, we call it a 4 stage of learning. At Moonshot Junior, we expose our student to all kind of cutting edge technologies at stage one. That goes from apps to gaming, to robotics, to AI/ML, to IoTs. Then once we identify where somebody has area of interest, then we take them to the deeper dive in the stage two, only in 1 or 2 subjects. And then the third stage is really most crucial. It takes the 5 stage of really product building experience, from empathize, define, all the way to prototype and testing. And once you have a product in hand, we take you to the e-commerce journey. And some of the kids come out with a successful product. They start selling on Amazon or eBay, and not everybody will be having that lucky. And then they go back and they try next product and next product, right? But our aim is really, once you try it 1 or 2 or 3 times, you should reach there. Whether it is Moonshot Junior or not, I think this is really the recipe. Whether it is an app, whether it is a real product on e-commerce like Amazon, you should try and really try to sell your first 100 product, first 50 product, even first 10 product. Whether you make profit or not, the most important thing is, can you understand all the pieces, how to create your product? Can you understand the pieces, how to source a product, let's say from Alibaba? Can you understand how to package it? Can you understand how to get your first 10 customers? It will give you a great deal of things. Whether it is successful or not, that's secondary. You have literally another 60 years, 80 years of life where you will be able to do a big impact. But really understanding these first pieces are the most important piece. And I'll give you a few success stories. Really, I mean, these are the students, and you can see their age. Many of them are younger than even you. And you can really Google it or go to Amazon. This young boy able to create this aqua shot box. This is really a toys around, DIY toys around water purification and water games. This guy sourced from Alibaba and put on Amazon, and this is selling few $1,000 every month. This is another young lady. She did the Sanya box. This is a add-on board which sits on top of Raspberry Pi, and she is able to raise $8,000 on Kickstarter for this project. And now this is also available on Amazon. Over 60 boxes has been sold. Or sorry, this one is all together Amazon plus Kickstarter. Over 100 boxes has been sold. This is another very product which is very close to my mind. And this is really the 5 stage. I'm sure you have heard the product building experience. The empathize very first thing. This young lady grew up with a neighbor who was an autistic kid. She created this subscription box. Every quarter, a box comes for sensory toy for autistic kids, and she got invited for a TEDx talk. This is only 13-year-old, right? And then we have many kids who are really establishing themselves as an instructor, making money, or creating mobile apps or gaming apps. So they are really trying to create their brand. And when you are creating your brand with an objective, like the objective is really, can she get the Sanya box start selling $5,000, $10,000 a month? Can she make $500,000 profit? You really need to do all of those things. Otherwise, it doesn't work, right? You need to understand how the e-commerce works. You need to create your personal brand. You need to have all the social media channel. You are really trying to create the awareness, and you need to have blogs. You need to have your own videos, everything. When you are working with an objective in mind, with maybe a prop, right? These could be a prop which goes on e-commerce, or it could be really you are tutoring somewhere, or you are selling something on 5RR, or you are selling a mobile app on an app store. So really identify what that prop is going to be, and really rinse and repeat, and really try to establish yourself for that prop. Whether that prop becomes your life, that is a whole different story. After 2 years maybe you are on something else, but how to get that prop famous, right? And try to establish yourself on social media and everything. That will build a personal brand, or at least it will give you a clue how to build a personal brand when you have a prop or objective in hand, right? I mean, there are other ways you can become a star on TikTok, but again, the success rate of something like that is very, very minute. It becomes very difficult to excel there versus something like this, where the success rate is a lot higher. As I said, like the NBA, the top-notch player versus an average engineer, if you see the stat, they might make about the same kind of money in the lifetime. But for an engineer to be successful versus hitting that NBA star are totally two different probability equation. I'm not saying you should not aspire to be in that NBA star, but just keep in mind, because at some point of time you need to realize your potential, what makes sense for you to establish yourself. Because if I say everybody will become a Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, that might not be the right way to set the precedent. You really need to understand, as a previous presenter also said, who you are. The sooner you're able to figure that out, I think it's better for you. And then really identify your path and do something small, but try to establish yourself for that small thing. Once you're able to establish yourself for that small thing, once you're able to sell your first 20 or 50 boxes, even if you make or lose $500, doesn't matter, but that will give you the whole idea how you can do something bigger in future. So I think that's pretty much it. Again, my name is Alok Jain. I'm running Moonshot Jr and happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you for that presentation. There's a lot of useful information, especially for us as high schoolers. So again, he has his contact information and website on the slide, so you can contact him through there. But if you have any questions right now, feel free to post them in the chat. So while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I could ask my own question. So you did mention, the importance of building a personal brand, especially as teenagers. So what advice or tips do you have on how to go about building a brand?
Yeah. So as I said, like first identify a purpose, right? The purpose could be you want to establish yourself maybe for something particular you are passionate about in music, or you are creating an app, or you are creating a subscription box, or you are creating a product which might go on Kickstarter or might go on Amazon, right? You really need to identify a prop. It becomes a lot easier when you have a purpose in mind, a prop in mind. Then everything rotated around that. And as I said, like really try to sell those first 100 items, first 50 items. To do that, you really need to do thousands of things. Just launching a product on Amazon doesn't mean that you will start selling thousands. Nothing will happen. Even if you launch and you think like, okay, all of a sudden you wake up tomorrow and 200 boxes sold. No, even in 2 months down the line, you may realize nothing happened. Not even two boxes got sold. You write a book, nobody even buying it, right? But really try to get those first 50 people, first 10 people, even your friends, to buy your book if you are launching it on Amazon bookstore, or download that app which you created to 20 of your friends. I'm just saying, like the first thing, whatever you get there, really try to revolve everything around that. Your social media, your friend circle, when you go with your friends, talk about that on social media, talk about that, create blogs. Really try to get those first 10 customers or 50 customers. That will really give you a lot of ideas how to create your personal brand. But that is very important. Have an objective in mind.
Great, thank you. We can definitely agree on that. And we have one more question from Dhruv. This is a bit more specific, but he asks, how did you start off in a category like product development?
So I think I personally believe the right way to teach any student, right now we are targeting 10 to 17, through our product development, right? I think this we learn you go and talk to any of these child, and they were able to tell, especially anybody involved in e-commerce, that what is a deferred revenue. It's complex term. People do not even understand when they are after their MBA or in 30s. But it's a lot easier for these kids to understand. Deferred revenue means, for example, if you sell this box and there are boxes are costing $25, right? And then if you sold in this month 10, let's say 4 boxes, now you have $100 of revenue. But is it a realized revenue? Maybe not, because what about if 2 customers return next month, because you get 30-day return policy on Amazon, right? So the $100 revenue is there on the books, but it's not realized yet. When it will be realized? On 31st day, when you realize that, okay, all 4 customers are happy and they are not returning. But if 2 customers return, then it's only $50 revenue, right? So when you talk about product building experience, you can really learn very complex concept through product building experience, through product, which is very difficult to teach even to adults. Forget about kids, right? So that's where we think the product building experience is really the core of the education, because you can do 2 ways, right? You say the company happened first and product happened later. Really, nothing happened. But if you have a product, the company will happen. A lot of these success stories, from Facebook to Snapchat to whatever, they have a product in hand and they're able to create $1 billion company, because once you have a product, you will get a ton of help. Everybody will be willing to help you to take you there. But if you say, okay, I like to just learn the regular term and I want to do an MBA and then I'll create my product, that's very difficult to create anything. So that's where we call it a product first approach. You should have a product in hand and then you create everything surrounding it.
Great, thank you for that advice.